Welcome to Chautauqua People. My name is John V. Our guest today is John Abbott, well-known local technologist. John, you started out in Minnesota, and then you made your way to Utah. How did that happen?
Well, I took a job with my employer IBM where I could live basically wherever I wanted. I was working worldwide, and I just rather quickly realized, hey, there's a lot going on here in Minneapolis that I'm not really liking that much, and I could probably expand my horizons. So I actually went down to Austin, Texas for about 9 months or so, and did some couch surfing down there. And then I found myself going down to the Gulf Shore every week and hanging out on the beach. And right around September, October, I kind of decided, hey, I could actually go live in a ski resort town. So I packed all my stuff up and kind of packed that away, and I was working in Des Moines, Iowa at the time, and I'd fly back and forth all over the West. Finally got to Utah and realized best snow on earth and a really good airport. So that was super easy, and then shortly after that I moved up into Park City.
So you fly out of Salt Lake?
So I fly out of Salt Lake, yeah, which is a fantastically on time, no frills, no problems airport.
And where do you travel now?
Well, now I do some travel because I'm working in the financial services industry. I'm traveling out to New York sometimes, but Austin, some of our other headquarter locations, and maybe I'll visit some of the bank entities that are around the country. But I travel a lot less than I used to, whereas before, for the last 15 years, I've been traveling worldwide. You name a continent, I've worked on it quite a bit, South Africa and Australia included.
And you were selling them products from?
Yeah, so I typically came into a project when the team was trying to prove something out to a customer, make them feel comfortable with the solution. So we would come in and help them, kind of reform their strategy or adopt our technology into whatever strategy that was, and I would kind of be in there to close some of our larger deals.
Good to go. Now, basically, what are you doing these days for the company?
Yeah, so these days I sell directly to a single bank within our financial services industry. So we kind of divide things up into markets, and financial services is probably one of our premier markets as far as some of our best customers. And I have a bank that just moved into that market, so I spend 100% of my time teamed up with another seller. I work a little bit more on the technology end than he does, but try to support that efforts. But then I run a whole crew of sellers across our entire portfolio. So it's a very big portfolio that we have with IBM. We do a little bit of everything. So just try to help the customer understand exactly how they can adopt our technologies, not just our old ones, but a lot of the new stuff that we have coming out.
Now, how has all this technology affected your skiing?
Yes, well, it's not as much as the kids affect my ski, but I think I still get a few days in. I don't get nearly as many as I used to, but I get in a few days a week for sure. My kids ski race, so at the ski races, a lot of times I'm getting some turns in as well. So don't be too afraid there. I'm getting some time in.
So are they competitively trained then for the racing?
Yeah, they train with the Park City ski team, which is we're super lucky to have the coaching and staffing that we have. We produce Olympians, gold medalists alike, and our coaches. My kids have had several years in a row here where their coaches were former World Cup skiers, former World Cup and NORAM coaches. So they a lot of times they'll have a family change and they'll want to stay a little closer to home and spend more time with the kids. So we are so lucky that we have that opportunity there, and it's one of the only places you can live and have that type of experience, as well as, like I said before, I think we talked about this before, but kids go to school. 2 of my kids go to school in the summertime, so they have all the time they need to train in the wintertime.
How does the summertime schooling work for them?
They start in April and they end in November. It's a very condensed school. They really just focus on core subjects that they would need to go to college and everything. They strip out a lot of the nonsense, so they can learn about things like recycling and some of the civics things at home, and we really just focus on what the state mandates. So they've cut that down and really just focusing in on the core. But they do have a couple opportunities. They have artists in residence, and my kids, those 2 kids are very artistic, And so they enjoy the ability to have an entire quarter where they're spending a lot of time in the art studio as well. So
So do they do this in a classroom in Utah, or they?
yeah, it's actually an old mansion that's been converted into a school. It was donated to the school, and they've converted it, and they're probably going to add a few rooms on, but it's maybe about 200 students total at the
Really?
most. Yeah.
And most of them then are winter athletes?
Yeah, so my kids are both alpine racers, but we also have all of the freestyle events also represented. There's a couple of Nordic skiers that do Nordic racing, Nordic jumps. I think there might be some sliding sports in there as well. And then one or two kids that are playing, hockey, and for one reason or another, they wanted to attend that school as well.
And that's a good experience for them then.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It's very hard. It'd be very difficult to do what they do with skiing and not have school in the summertime. They would have to do remote schooling or something like that. Their races most of the time, because of resort traffic, focus on weekdays, and many races are 4 or 5 days long out of state. So you add 5, 6, 7 of those up in a season, and it'd be very difficult to get your schooling in.
Do you have to help the kids with transportation, or can you?
Up to a certain age, until they're about 14 or 15. About 14, they start to then do team travel at that point, or optionally do team travel. So my daughter now is a FIS racer, which is kind of like being a professional racer at this point. When you turn 16, you just basically get thrown in with all the other skiers in the world, and then the travel does get even more intense.
So that works out for them.
Yeah, it works out really well.
And I assume their friends then are mostly skiers who are doing the same sorts of things.
Yeah, they kind of spread that around a little bit, but especially with that tight school situation, they do spend a lot of time with those kids, and they're on the road, doing trips all the time. They have a few European trips in the off season where they go over there to train on glaciers, just to keep things moving and moving forward. So they get really close with that crew.
Anything in South America?
Yeah, so there's a resort that we team up with a lot down there called El Colorado in Chile. And it's a great opportunity. I can say that my kids favor going to Europe. I think they like the meal plan in Europe a lot better.
Yeah.
I think they enjoy all the other culture elements of going to a place like Saas-Fee or say Austria.
Yeah. And so the kids are world travelers as a
Yes.
result of this.
Yeah, it's a little weird to drop your kid off at the airport and say, see you later, have fun in Switzerland.
Yeah. What do they do for skis? They have several pairs, or?
Oh, yeah. I think at any one time I probably have 30 pairs of skis in the garage. Now that's not all what they're using in that season, but they're multi-event. So Reagan, who's a little bit younger, he skis Super G, Slalom, and GS. You have 2 pairs for GS, 2 pairs for Slalom, probably another task pair that they may use when conditions aren't that great at the beginning of the season for GS and Slalom. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pairs of skis right there, and then some free skis. My daughter also adds on, she'll be adding on downhill on top of that, so she'll carry another set for that.
Do they come to Dad for maintenance and sharpen the edges and
Yeah,
fill a
so
little hole and all this stuff?
yeah, and that is a pretty big part of the sport, is actually getting them to learn how they're going to tune their skis and maxing. They get wax calls from their coaches, but there's a lot of effort to be put in keeping your skis waxed, because if your skis, even for training purposes, don't get waxed enough, there's a little texture on the bottom that'll break down. Then you have to go in and have the bottoms done again, and that gets to be extremely expensive. But they're always sharpening edges. The edges are razor sharp, and we have pictures of stitches that will show exactly how sharp they are, and the kids wear full cut-proof suits, but they still sometimes will get sliced through.
So you put the maintenance back on them.
Yep, so we do as much of that as possible. I'll help them out. My daughter's a little more busy because she's a full-time dancer, but I help out a little bit, but they really want to pick up and do it themselves. And when on the road especially, they take care of all of that.
I know as a kid we had several sets of skis in the garage, but they was often if you bring somebody home from college who's never been skiing. Yeah. Well, let's go see what we can put together here.
Right.
Sometimes it was catastrophe, sometimes it was fun.
Yeah, no, we have a few of those pairs laying around.
Yeah, I have at it. Now, the kids are skiers. Are they Chautauquans?
Yes. So I have twins that right now are 14. I'd say they're getting the full Chautauqua experience more so than their sister. Their sister spends Even while she's in school for the summertime, she has a few dance academy things that she ends up doing. Doesn't line up with the dancing here yet. Probably in the future, again, she'll be back to doing some of that dance here. But she's, very much an artist as much as she is a tactician with her skiing. So she's absolutely grown up here doing the whole Chautauqua thing, children's school, club, and everything. Until about 2 years ago when the dancing really got in the way in the summertime with the school. It just got very complicated. Now the boys, they come and go when they need food. And, I just basically, unless it's the yak dance night, they're out until 10, and I'll see them just when they need to put something in their mouth, and they're at that age where they eat a lot and they drink a ton of milk. And they're full on that experience, and they have their friends here that I know that they'll be friends with for the remainder of their life.
How are your grocery bills?
I spent a little time at Walmart. Used to be Wegmans, but we've kind of shifted back to Walmart for a few years to get the dollar per protein molecule.
That's right.
Kind of lined up.
That's right. Now, who's on the picture here?
Oh, that'd be Vixen, the pet there. Yeah, she's an Australian Labradoodle.
Okay.
Looks like she's settling down just fine. Yeah, definitely part of the family, and she probably enjoys the Chautauqua experience even more so than the children do at times. She enjoys swimming off the pontoon, playing fetch. She's learned right off the bat how to climb the ladder and get back up so she can jump out and chase the ball one more time. She loves the sandbar up at the north end, and she usually packs plenty of sodas for me to consume while I'm standing there waist deep in the water, kibitzing about the day's top topics.
That's great. That's great. How long has she been coming to Chautauqua?
6 years, every year of her life, yes.
Does she need a gate pass?
She does not need a gate pass.
Okay.
No.
And does she got doggy friends here, or?
Some, yeah. She sees some. The current president's dog, Penny, she likes a lot, and that's a smaller version of a doodle. I think it might be a golden doodle. And they'll throw some speed events on, running around. She has a couple friends across the lake that she enjoys running with, but she tries to behave herself around the institution, not get too
That's
loud.
good. Very well behaved in here.
Yeah.
Told her to lie down, and she figured, okay, that's where I'm supposed to be. I guess this floor is cool, so this
Yes, she's happy about it.
probably feels pretty good. Now, tell me about your work, and lead this to a discussion of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so it's all the rage I hear through work. It's amazing how quickly it has taken off as a technology. I'd say we are at the precipice of it being a little bit of a parlor trick. When ChatGPT first came out, it was great that our kids could use it to write their theme papers for them. And now I think it's gotten into the point in the workplace where everybody's constantly using AI. When you're doing, PowerPoints and, making presentations, reading your emails, summarizing meeting minutes and all of that, it's amazing how quickly you can get those things done. Well, in my role, I'm trying to help banks get more from AI and getting AI more and more permission to actually complete tasks. And it's amazing, this time last year, there was a technology that was just becoming known called MCP. And MCP is a way that we can allow AI to have permissions to use systems. So if they want to go into Salesforce, add a record, change a record or something like that, that MCP server helps us tell AI how to do that. And then we can give AI certain permissions, based upon that. But we're right at that precipice right now where customers are starting to make that adoption where they're now giving AI a little bit more permission. It's going beyond the chat bots, having a conversation, writing texts, formatting, some response back. And we're trying to get to the point where we're more able to allow it to go in and actually make a change in your bank account, pay a bill or things like that. And I think that's really where the rubber hits the road. And as we try to convert more of our human agents, maybe that are in a call center we've already offshored or something, to use AI agents especially to do that work. And so now we have this big push for what can we do with these AI agents. We have agents calling other agents that call other agents upon agents, right? So it's a very exciting world, and we're just at the point now of really helping our customers kind of adopt to that technology and feel comfortable with what it's doing.
How did you learn about it?
Wow, I think like everybody else, I just grabbed that fire hose and started drinking. I think like when ChatGPT kind of burst onto the scene and let kind of the elephant out of the closet, it just started running like crazy, and everybody needed information, and so you basically just try to stay one page ahead of everybody else. I did a little speech maybe 2 years ago for Advocates for Balance, and I had to kind of dig in a little more and figure out where the whole history was. Of course, with IBM, we were using AI for many, many years before ChatGPT comes along and just explodes onto the scene.
Do you guys do any work in the medical field?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We do a lot of process automation, which is very needed within the medical field. There are also, we have agents that help read, say, radiology reports or things like that, or scan records and look for patterns, or do research especially. We are getting more and more involved even on the research side, especially with our quantum computing bits too.
And when you use the term agent, does that mean a software protocol or just what?
An agent, actually, they do kind of have their own protocol now, but the agent's like a little piece of that AI that is trained or allowed and positioned to do certain type of work. So just as you would have a human agent that might have answered a telephone call in times past and said, oh, you're looking to make a change to ownership of your account or something like that, let me connect you with the correct system to do that, or help you through that, or answer your questions, whatever that happens to be. The digital agent would do the same type of activity for them.
I've heard it said that now artificial intelligence programs can do as well or better reading x-rays.
Absolutely.
And that's a big deal. Radiologists used to charge enormous amounts to look at x-rays.
Yeah.
And then it would be a delay, and sort of thought, this changes the business.
Yeah, it certainly does. And even when you think about using AI to back up what the doctor is telling you, or having those checks and balances, so you can say, well, it can very quickly process all the records that are digitized for a particular customer or a patient in this case, and then compare it to the advice that's being given. It can throw red flags, or it can verify. And I think that's really important, especially as the medical community tries to keep, their hold on the world and say, everybody's going out to the internet and getting these questions answered on their own, and everybody's pretending to be a doctor. We need to make sure that we're on top of our game and they're not catching us, and make us look bad. So them adopting AI and being able to kind of help out in those processes really helps. It's the patient's going to benefit in the end run, the long run.
I think it's probably more accurate and certainly more timely.
Yes.
And I would assume less expensive.
Yes, and early on, and we're still in that phase depending on the model, AI can dream some stuff up. It does like to hallucinate from time to time, and we're doing more and more things, having AI watch AI to make sure it doesn't just start to make up the facts, right? Because sometimes if it doesn't have an answer, it'll just get creative and say, oh, yeah, I can make an answer up.
Where do you see AI going?
I kind of just, it's almost like a commodity at this point. The AI startups just happen so quickly, and AI allows you to breed more AI. I think it's going to keep booming. I think the requirement for data centers is just also going to tag right along with that. It'll be very interesting to see, how things morph. But I think in the short term, which is all I really care about probably, is it's going to get better and more accurate at doing some of these things. Agents will become to a point where they're trusted more and able to do more permissive activities.
And certainly the routine sorts of things
Yes.
could be handled much more,
Oh, absolutely.
much more quickly.
Right.
Now, you mentioned this Advocate for Balance at Chautauqua. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we started that group maybe about 8 years ago. Just not liking the choices that were given on the main stage for the 10 o'clock lecture, and then some other changes that were happening around the institution where didn't really feel like the administration was really heeding the guide of the 4 pillars and what the Chautauqua was founded on. So this group got together and said, well, we can all just walk around and keep complaining to each other or other people that don't want to hear us complain, or we can put our voices together and try to do something a little more meaningful from it. And so the group grew somewhere around 1,000 members at this point, and I think our voice was heard. I think we were part of helping the rest of the community, even folks that maybe don't agree with us politically or whatever, but the rest of the community speak up and say, hey, we don't like the way this is being led. Let's try something different. Let's bring in a Chautauquan, hopefully, and take care of that.
Mm-hmm. So how does the program present itself then?
The ABC program?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have we do a weekly lecture now at this point. We spend a lot of time and effort, and we have a great donation base internally to help us fund, and then we produce a weekly speaking event. And that event, we're pulling very, very great speakers. I mean, just a fantastic group of speakers that kind of try to follow as much as possible the themes for the different weeks. And sometimes our speakers have been adopted and brought onto the main stage at the lecture, which I think is a fantastic feather in our cap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that's kind of our grassroots, and that's where we get most of our I would say our audience from, and where people know about us mostly is probably from that lecture series.
Mm-hmm. And how are the lectures publicized?
Well, we definitely fill our room full of 300 at the Athenaeum, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be great if we had a larger venue to do those from, or roll them into the 5-day-a-week lecture that happens in the Athenaeum. That would be, at the amphitheater. That would be incredible, right? But we definitely get packed houses for many of those lectures where we have to turn people away.
And today was, I think, a good example.
Yes.
It looked like a full house.
Yes, we definitely, and that was a great lecture by Mr. Schweitzer, so that was great.
Got it. Is there a membership fee to belong?
Nope, we just ask for donations, so folks can provide as they can and donate to the cause.
And that works out.
Oh, it's been working out really well. We have a couple of very active donors, and then many that I think do a very strong job.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you make your way to Chautauqua?
So I got here through marriage. I'm what I like to call a plus one, right? So I inherited a whole group of friends and a whole group and a whole community to hang out with. My wife's family, I think, had representation down here in Mayville on the lake. Probably, man, I bet that was like 80 years ago. They first built a couple of cottages right off of Bird and Tree. And so they were coming here, and eventually her parents retired at the house here. Their other house was up in Clarence, up in Buffalo, so they're Buffalonians. So I married into the whole Western New York thing, and thus you don't really marry into Chautauqua without going to Chautauqua. So those questions come up when you're dating,
Yeah. So what do your kids consider themselves to be? Utah people or New York people or?
Well, they definitely consider themselves to be what we call Park Cityites. They're from Park City.
Okay.
Yep. They're definitely Utahns bred, and they spend most of their time and energy there.
So that's where the loyalty lies.
Yeah, but I think they will always have that connection to Chautauqua, and they'll always come.
Do they pull for any sports teams?
Yeah, I've disturbed them in a few ways. So we're all Minnesota Wild fans. Even Monique is a Minnesota Wild fan, but with the resurgence of the Sabres, that became very popular. We share football, but I think at this point the Bills are much more reliable than my formerly beloved Vikings. So
Okay.
You get a couple teams to cheer for on Sunday. Every once in a while they get to play each other.
Okay.
But it's definitely a little bit of a split house that way. But we don't really root against each other's teams. We're always rooting for those teams, which is kind of nice because we always have good teams, especially in football.
Yeah. And the kids, they tease each other about college teams or anything of the sort?
No, we don't really watch a lot of college teams.
We don't.
We've got enough going on that just try to keep up with those pro sports. I would like to watch more baseball, but that's kind of probably fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah.
We watch a little bit of racing and things like that.
So I take the kids to a baseball game. They know, Dad, you need to go. We got other things to do.
Right.
Something of the sort.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that.
and they play soccer, so we get to the RSL, the Salt Lake team. We get to probably 4 or 5 of those games a year as well, so that's a lot of fun. It's nice that Mammoth came to Utah, so now we can go watch our teams play with the Mammoth when they're in town, or we go to some Mammoth games and just cheer along with everybody else. Don't really have the heart for the Utah hockey team yet. We have our proclivities already.
They must thoroughly enjoy the World Cup being played in this country. I don't know if any events are being played in Utah.
No, we don't have any events in Utah, but we're definitely watching them on TV has been fantastic, and they like soccer, and I've been hearing about this World Cup thing for a while because a friend of mine actually helped bring the World Cup in, and he kind of ran that organization, I think FIFA for the U.S. until about 2 years ago or a year ago. And then right about the time when people started asking for tickets, he said, I think I'm going to go do my next thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you one kind of tough question. How long have you been with IBM then?
31 or so years.
And over this time, how has the corporate world changed in its treatment of employees?
Yeah, we've had our fair share of lawsuits against us because of the way we've chosen to downsize, and it can be very tumultuous at times. I came in right after the Gershner years where they had to go through a lot of uncomfortable changes. They've done that. Things were going very smoothly up until maybe 05 to 10, right in there, and then we kind of had some management that wanted to change the look and feel of IBM, and so they did some things to try to push out many of the older employees. I think a lot of folks, took opportunity to move on. A lot of them got kicked out and then somehow found their way back in a few years through those of us that were still there, and we'd pull in the talent that we knew shouldn't have got let go. But there's a lot of, I think, the indiscriminate letting go, and this is corporate worldwide, right, where they just have to let a lot of people go at certain times. That's probably the most frustrating, when you're like, wow, those are some real great employees and we're just turning them loose because it's too hard to discriminate. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so they are out and they come back.
Yep.
Do many of them find jobs in entrepreneurial ventures, or what happens?
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything. There's some that jump out and join companies that are startups or partners, and some of them come back due to buyouts and things like that and do very well for themselves. Some retire when they're a little bit older, some retire and then come back and consult and probably make more money that way, and
Yeah.
some tax advantages too. So there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different places people go, and at certain times Amazon is just hiring like crazy, or Google's hiring, and
Yeah.
the jobs aren't that different. It's pretty easy to jump between.
I've heard there are not a lot of startups in Utah, and I can't understand why, but that's my ignorance.
It's it's a really good workforce, very dedicated workforce, because of the LDS aspects. There's a lot of young talent out there that is, they're married, and so they're settling down quicker, and they make really good employees. We also are very business-friendly climate. When the whole data center charge is on, we don't say, oh, no data centers in our backyard, right? No, we say we're going to double our electricity grid and we're going to bring in some data centers. We have a lot of companies that have relocated from less friendly business environments, say California, that have moved in. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people come out there because they like the climate. Many come out to do things like ski or mountain bike or things like that. So it's been a really good place for those companies to relocate, and then also that, of course, breeds startups as well.
And a business-friendly environment is good for the population, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Jan, we are out of time, and this has been lots of fun. I've learned several things. We've covered some area here we don't normally talk about on this program. So thank you very much, and
All
do
right.
come back.
All right, thank you.
Got it.